This week in Jamaica Now, Prime Minister Holness and Opposition Leader Golding chastise each other as the budget debate is flavoured by looming elections.
You cannot use statistics to tell a struggling man that he's not struggling. They know that the official statistics can't yam.
When it comes to 15-year-old fiscal discipline, PNP, you are not the father.
The Supreme Court blocks the Portmore parish law from taking effect. JLP MP Robert Chin loses internal vote to remain the party's candidate for Manchester Southern. And Jamaican Police say an arrest warrant for Dancehall star Mavado is still active. I'm Jovan Johnson and this is Jamaica Now. The budget debate in Parliament dominated this week as Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness and Opposition Leader Mark Golding took centre stage. The two tore into each other while also seeking to convince Jamaicans why their party should be allowed to govern when the general election is held later this year. Mr. Holness is seeking a third consecutive term in office. Major housing benefits, infrastructure upgrades and relief for struggling Jamaicans dominated Dr. Holness's marathon presentation. Mr. Holness announced that starting July 1, National Housing Trust NHT contributors will be able to borrow more from the agency. The government will increase the loan limit for individual borrowers to $9 million, up from the current $7.5 million. The combined maximum loan limit for two co-applicants will move from $15 million to $17 million, and for three co-applicants, it will increase to $23 million, up from $21 million. If an individual mortgager is purchasing a unit priced at $14 million or less, the NHT will lend up to $12 million subject to affordability. For individual contributors building homes, the loan limit will be increased to $11 million. Other changes are also coming.
Commencing July 1, 2025, for contributors who earn less than $30,000 weekly, the deposit requirement on open loan markets on open market loans will be reduced to 2% if the housing solution being acquired is priced at or below $14 million. Starting July 1, 2025, the service charge on mortgages will be reduced as follows. For prospective mortgagors who earn $30,000 or less each week, their service charge will be reduced from 2% to a loan, will be reduced from 2% of the loan amount to zero. Wow. Yeah, so if you earn $30,000 or less, no interest, no service charge. And for prospective mortgagors earning between $30,000 and $42,000 per week, the service charge will be reduced from 5% of the loan to 2%. Prospective mortgagors earning $42,100 per week or $42,001 per week and above, their service charge remain at 5%.
Now, Dr. Holness also announced a $1 billion program to provide one-time cash grants of $20,000 to 50,000 vulnerable individuals who are low-income earners, unattached youth, persons with disabilities, or those not eligible for PATH and social pension. And starting June 1, the national minimum wage will increase from $15,000 to $16,000 for a 40-hour work week. Dr. Holness says this 6.7% increase contributes to a 158% increase since his party took office in March 2016. And other announcements include a new system for motor vehicle fitness certificates. New vehicles will receive certificates valid for 5 years, while vehicles 10 years old or less will get 3-year certificates. Motorists will also be able to register their vehicles for up to 2 years. The government plans to pursue a US $350 million project to extend the North-South Highway. The extension will begin with a cloverleaf interchange at Miami Bay St. Anne, extending westward to Discovery Bay and eastward to Prospect in St. Mary.
The Miami Bay area has emerged as a new urban corridor between Ocho Rios and St. Anne. It is also a critical tourism corridor. And in recent times, it has become an area for residential communities. Effectively, the corridor which is supposed to be part of the North Coast Highway, is now serving as the main boulevard to a town, with several ingress and egress from local roads. The corridor now handles traffic coming to and from the north-south toll road, traffic moving between Ocho Rios and St. Anne's Bay, and local traffic moving within the various businesses and residences along the corridor. This has created a significant traffic hazard for residents and commuters, which will stifle the natural development energy in the area.
Open tolling, a system that allows vehicles to be charged electronically without stopping at a toll booth, will be piloted on the Montego Bay Perimeter Road. The Prime Minister also announced that starting September this year, a dedicated school bus system for rural Jamaica will be implemented. 100 fully refurbished buses will be deployed across parishes, 60 by September and another 40 by January 2026. Now for Opposition Leader Mark Golding. He has proposed a sweeping housing plan aimed at easing home ownership challenges for low-income earners and public sector workers. Speaking in the 2025-2026 budget debate on Tuesday, Mr. Golding pledged to build 50,000 affordable homes through the Housing Agency of Jamaica. He also proposed a Young Owners Deposit Fund, offering $500,000 to NHT contributors under age 35. Additionally, public servants would receive lower mortgage interest rates and a 3-month grace period before loan repayments begin.
And our plan is to recapitalize the NHT with lands to restore value for the $136.8 billion that has been taken from it to fund successive budgets over the last 12 years. We will also repurpose the NHT to have its focus on its core mandate of providing affordable houses to contributors. Using this recapitalization mechanism, we will exclude the cost of land from the price of houses built by the NHT over the next 5 years, passing through a reduction of between $2.5 and $3 million to contributors purchasing those homes. That is social and economic justice for the contributors whose institution has been depleted of resources to ease the final burden on the country. Teachers, nurses, police officers and other public servants, young professionals, persons with disabilities, and indeed an individual contributing to the NHT will be able to afford their own home.
He also promised that a future PNP administration would end the $11.4 billion annual drawdown from the NHT used to help fund the national budget. That policy began under the previous PNP administration as a temporary 4-year measure, but has now continued for over 12 years. Mr. Golding further promised that teachers would receive student debt reductions and motor vehicle concessions based on their years of service. He said teachers would also have enhanced access to NHT loans and priority housing allocations in NHT-funded schemes. Mr. Golding also pledged to remove all taxes on laptops and tablets for students and teachers and negotiate package deals to provide teachers with free internet service. He also promised that a PNP-led government would offer 1 full scholarship per family for a university degree to improve access to tertiary education. And along with declaring cultural icons Bob Marley and Louise Bennett Coverley national heroes, Mr. Golding pledged to incorporate the black pride and self-reliance teachings of Jamaica's first national hero, Marcus Garvey, into the public education system. Mr. Golding did not share costs from most of his proposals, but later said on a vlog hosted by Andre Stevens that he has worked out the funding, which he says includes over $300 billion of discretionary funding in the proposed budget. And the two leaders also clashed over economic management and governance. On Tuesday, Mr. Golding argued that the Holness administration has focused heavily on statistics such as the historically low unemployment rate without generating economic growth that improves quality of life.
If employment is increasing, but your economy is not growing, it means that productivity is falling. If employment is increasing, but national wealth is stagnant, it means that jobs are being created, but they are low-paying jobs that cannot sustain a decent quality of life. Mr. Speaker, you cannot use statistics to tell a struggling man that he is not struggling. You cannot use statistics to tell a hungry child that she is not hungry, or an underpaid worker that he or she is doing well in life. People know what the reality of their lives is. They know that the official statistics can't yam.
Dr. Holness, however, pushed back against the claim that IMF-backed reforms from 2013 to 2016 under the PNP were the primary reason for economic stability, lower debt and improved service delivery.
This leader of the opposition is a man of convenience, flip-flopping between prudence and popularity when it suits him. 1 minute he disowns the child of fiscal discipline, and then the next he claims the child of fiscal discipline. The mother remembers the pain of FinSAC and the high interest rate policy, the largest transfer of wealth from the poor to the rich, and she knows that she cannot trust this worthless man. So the DNA test was done. The DNA test was done. The results are in. When it comes to 15-year-old fiscal discipline, PNP, you are not the father.
In other news, the Supreme Court has granted an injunction blocking the Portmore parish law from taking effect following a lawsuit by opposition politicians who claim it is unconstitutional. Chief Justice Brian Sykes issued the orders on Thursday, with the injunction set to last until March 28 when the parties return to court. St. Catherine's Southern MP Fitz Jackson, Portmore Mayor Leon Thomas, and councillors Claude Hamilton and Vanrick Preddy filed the lawsuit against Attorney General Dr. Derek McCoy and Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie. They argue that the law disrupts local governance and electoral boundaries. The Electoral Commission of Jamaica, ECJ, had warned that the proposed parish boundary could violate the Constitution, which prohibits constituencies crossing parish lines. Despite this, the government has defended the law, saying it reflects residents' wishes. The People's National Party has called it political gerrymandering. Member of Parliament Robert Chin lost an internal vote Sunday, effectively ending his bid to remain the ruling Jamaica Labour Party's representative in Manchester Southern. Local businessman Ian Ives won. He said he will be seeking to address divisions among Labourites. Mr. Ives secured 54% of the vote to Chin's 35%. Aidan Peart received 10%. JLP General Secretary Dr. Horace Chang said the Secretariat intends to respect the outcome of the vote by the party workers in the constituency and will make a recommendation to the party's central executive. If Mr. Ives is confirmed, he will go up against the People's National Party's Peter Bunting. The Jamaica Constabulary Force has confirmed an outstanding arrest warrant for international dancehall star Mavado, whose real name is David Brooks. Deputy Superintendent of Police Randy Sweeney says Mavado is wanted for assault occasioning actual bodily harm arising from an incident in 2018. Mavado's attorney, Oswest Senior Smith, acknowledged its existence but stated the entertainer denies any wrongdoing. The police have attempted to execute the warrant, but Mavado now resides overseas. The Deputy Superintendent declined to comment when asked by the Gleaner if Jamaican authorities would seek to have the entertainer extradited to stand at trial. The warrant also impacted Mavado's ability to testify in a fraud case against disbarred attorney Jennifer Mavado. The police say a high-level probe is underway to identify and apprehend persons responsible for a shipment of 30 firearms and over 100 rounds of ammunition to Jamaica, which were seized on Tuesday. This latest seizure follows the discovery of 66 guns and 4,700 rounds of ammunition at Newport West in St. Andrew in January. And that's it for this edition of Jamaica Now, your weekly review of the big news stories. Send us your comments at onlinefeedback@gleanerjm.com. Follow us on X, formerly Twitter, and Instagram at Jamaica Gleaner, and on Facebook at Gleaner Jamaica. Like this video on our YouTube page, turn on your notification, and subscribe today. I'm Jovan Johnson.